What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. So following our sliders video for Madden 22, I feel like it's also a good idea to answer a couple of questions and essentially talk about this all in one video with auto subs and let you guys know where my auto subs are at in conjunction with the sliders that I gave you, let you know where I recommend sitting your auto sliders at and things like that for Madden 22. So the first thing that I want to address in today's video is how to access your auto subs. And to access your auto subs, you're going to go to manage staff this year, and this is where you can access your auto subs or formation subs. When you click into auto subs, you're going to have the same exact information here as prior years. And if you are somebody that is struggling to get your backups rotating into a game, if you want your backups rotating into the game, as always, it is hyper important for you guys to increase your auto subs and make sure that you guys have these set at an appropriate level, tinker with them, and get them to a point where you are comfortable with your players subbing in and out. I could make a whole video on it again, but one last point here with auto subs: if you want to try to avoid injuries, you want to try to avoid fumbling, and you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of the players that are on your roster, you are definitely going to want to make sure that you have some attention to detail with your auto subs and make sure that you're adjusting according to the personnel that you have on your team. With that being said, you guys are going to see that I have not done a ton in terms of my auto subs so far this year. In fact, because I am the Pittsburgh Steelers, there are certain positions where I don't want players subbing in, and I do want players subbing in. For example, at the quarterback position, offensive line position, wide receiver position, the Steelers do not have a lot of depth. And honestly, their starting offensive line, for example, is already pretty weak, and so getting even weaker players to rotate in is not always to my advantage. And so from that perspective, on my offense, most of my auto subs are set to the base of 80-60, which is where the game sets them for you this year. However, where I have had success in terms of getting my running backs to sub in and out is with the fatigue slider set up to 80. Now, like I said, that's for me, and that's with my slider set. A lot of people have been telling me that, they're having issues with players subbing out and then never coming back into the game. Well, that could be an issue with where you have your sub in, sub out slider set to. I've not personally experienced those issues with fatigue set somewhere between 70 and 80 on the sliders, and then having my players sub in and sub out at around 80 or 70, you're going to have success with your players subbing in and out. At least I have. And, again, I'm going to continue doing experimentation and stuff like that. But at the positions that it is far more important for players to sub in and out, for example, on my Pittsburgh Steelers team, defensive tackle, where I brought in a good backup, linebackers, defensive backs. At those positions, I've gone as far as to take my auto subs up to about 80-75. I would even consider taking them up closer to maybe 85-80 or something of that nature. Again, you have to play around with these in conjunction with your fatigue slider. So let's say, for example, the fatigue slider is giving you issues where it's not having players then sub out after they're going out of the game, or they're not subbing back in appropriately. Then you might need to play around with these a little bit. So I have been getting reports that this is working a little bit more wonky than it has in the past, but again, this is where I have my auto subs at, and I'm having success with my players subbing in and out and getting a realistic number of snaps for my starters and my backups in conjunction with the 70 or 80 fatigue slider. So I'm liking it at this point. Getting players to sub in and out, it seems pretty easy to me at around this 80-75 mark. So that would be my recommendation for you guys to start testing it. And if you need your players to sub in more, obviously you're going to increase these. I always keep them roughly 5 apart. Like I always go, if I went up to 85, I'd go to 80. Now that's just probably me being OCD. You could probably go all the way up and match. But for the most part, I keep them 5 apart, and that has worked for me wonderfully so far this year, and in past years I've had no issues with it. So again, that's my recommendation. Hopefully this helps somebody out. Like I said, this is not going to be a super informative video, but something that did definitely need to be addressed in conjunction with the sliders. So make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and comment down below. Let me know anything else you guys could use help with, anything else you want a tip or trick video on. I do have plenty of videos planned ahead, but that's it for today's video. Hope you guys have a good one. See you in the next one.